Welcome, everyone, to Bear Football. My name is Aldo Gandia. With me is Tyler Ellis and Danny Shimon. John Buffone is on vacation. Guys, there's no way to put a rose-colored glasses on and see anything positive about today outside of the first quarter play by Justin Fields and the Bears offense. This was a putrid performance against a division rival. And what happened is that the Bears – in many places, many different positions, did not play with any heart. The name of this show is Bear Football, and the meaning of that is playing hard, playing with tenacity, scaring the opponent with your aggressiveness, and the Bears showed none of that. Tyler Ellis, Happy New Year. You look like you're ready to kick some butt the way you got your arms crossed there. What do you got to say about that game?
I'm actually excited for Draft on Tap, Aldo. That's what I'm excited about. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Happy New Year. Thank you all for spending your Sunday with us. Aldo,
did we lose him?
Tyler's frozen up on us just when he was going to make one of those.
Yeah, he's giving me a plug on Draft on Tap. Oh, man.
Right. Well, Danny, until we get our man. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Okay. I was coming in too hot. Let me calm down. So Aldo, we went to the game hoping to get our fifth win in Ford Field, and it just didn't go down. It's actually rather disappointing. And I was saying happy holidays and to everybody in the chat. Thank you for spending time with us. But highly disappointing. I mean, we talked about a couple of weeks ago about the Bears coaching staff maybe doing some things on purpose.
He's frozen again. Danny, why don't you take over and let us know your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, although I think it summed it up earlier. I mean, Jonathan Vilma on TV said that looked like the Lions were going up against a scout team defense. I mean, that's pretty for a proud franchise that really has throughout its history has been known for having a bad team, sure, but not horrible defenses. And then I said at halftime, I said I'm tired of watching this damn defense play. To be honest with you, it's just but today was just even worse. I mean, but like I said, there was plenty of blame to go all the way around, right? Offense stunk. I mean, Justin Fields outside that first half or that first quarter, really. I mean, there were about 3 sacks I counted that were attributed to the offensive line, but I think Justin could have gotten rid of the football. There was a one play where I started screaming at the TV, and I think you did as well because you tweeted out a clip of it where you just got to throw the ball away. You just have to throw the ball away. And I didn't even see Claypool on the initial live shot until the replay. Claypool was wide open, and even if it's a modest gain. It's a gain at all. It's a gain. It's better than a loss and a sack. Also, you save yourself from getting twisted like a pretzel and getting sacked and possibly getting hurt. So you're already dealing with some lower leg issues, So that's something that he's got to get rid of that. He's got to get rid of that holding on to football. And what it is he's just trying to hold on and try and make a big play downfield, but he's not taking the easier checkdowns. And I know the score was, I think it was a 2-score game at the time. So I know what he's doing, but he's got to stop doing that. This is the NFL. This is not Ohio State. We're not going to have a guy come clear wide open down the field magically, right? All the time like he did Ohio State. But, you just got to get rid of the football. There are a couple of times he just kind of held on to it, and he took a hit, and he took a sack. And those are things that the coaching staff has to get coached out of him. So, again, offensively, they stunk up the place. Defensively, they were horrible. The special teams. I mean, the only positive maybe was Velus Jones. They had a couple nice returns. He had a nice, handoff. He held on to the football, got a first down. So it was just a bad game all around. I mean, I partied last night. I'm a little, tired this morning, and I'm sure it looks like the Bears are out there partying as well last night, and they're a little tired. But do you really party in Detroit? I guess, I don't know. We have to ask Don Burr if he can party in Detroit.
What say you, Tyler? We got you back on. It looks like you got a nice warm line. It won't freeze up on us again. What say you about this game?
Yeah, I pay too much. I pay too much for internet to have those kind of problems. But not Danny's right. But it's like Aldo. It's like, what was the game plan without Justin's big run? If we saw in the chat, 19 yards passing. So passing wasn't the big emphasis. We didn't get Montgomery involved until it didn't really matter. So what was the game plan? This is what I want to hear from the coaches. I understand you want the high draft pick, but we didn't even look competitive. I mean, after the second quarter, I mean, were we really content with a 10 with that little bit of a lead? Like that was really nothing, Aldo. And so, like, I'm actually very confused. I'm like, even though the Lions have gotten better, it's like where the Lions started the season, where the Bears started the season, I had higher hopes, and so the Lions team have got the coaches have seemed to have gotten more from their group than what the Bears have gotten from their group, because the Lions were counted out. But you've seen the Lions like battle with the Packers. I've seen the Lions battle with the Bills. You see what I mean? And so we actually see that product today because they were really fierce with us.
Yep. Some people complaining about the play calling and so forth. I believe that the play calling was good to start the game. Luke Getsy wanted to use Justin Fields' legs, but it was obvious that this Detroit Lions team was going to punish him and punish him hard for every time he dared run with the ball. This is a Dan Campbell coach team, and he's the guy that was going to kick you in the nuts or kick you in the knee or whatever the hell his expression was, and he had that defense fired up. So anytime Justin Fields ran with the ball, they made him play, and it was to Getsy's credit that they changed things up, but the talent pool is not there. But what is also very concerning for me, guys, and I see a lot of people in the chat room talking about Justin Fields is not the quarterback. We had a discussion about that in the halftime show. But the key thing is that he should be further along with his pass game than he demonstrated today. Now, there are all sorts of issues. The offensive line was on their third stringer at the right guard position, and you still got the two rookie offensive tackles, but he held on to the ball too long. Knowing that he has a depleted offensive line, he held on to the ball too long. And there were instances where they were open receivers and Fields missed them. And so at this point of the season, game 16, we want to see Justin Fields further ahead in his passing prowess. I know he can get there, but he is behind schedule. What say you, Danny Shimon?
Well, I mean, he had a bad game. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He had a bad game today. It just like I said, indecisions were there. I mean, and in terms of missing wide open receivers, I don't really see that. The one I did see on the replay again was with Komet, and that first where he ran was, I think it was a third and goal. They ended up getting the field goal where he spun around to his left, and then but kept kind of like, I think that Riley Reef was the tackle eligible, and he was going on the flat, and he's like, I'm not throwing it at Reef because he already had a defender on him. But if you go back in a replay, you saw that the wide angle, you saw Komet kind of break free on the back side of the end zone, on the back side of the play. If he just looked that way, he could have thrown it, but an easy touchdown. But he just kind of at that point decided to tuck it and run it and try and get in for a score. But unfortunately, he was short there. But other than that, I didn't really see guys coming wide open. I mean, the Claypool one he was wide open where he took that sack. Yeah, but he had a bad game. There's no way around it. Again, no help around him. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for him. It's something that, but to say that he's not the quarterback of the future, or to say that you haven't seen any progress from Justin Fields, not that you're saying that, Aldo, but some other people are saying that. It's ridiculous. So it's just like it's a season in which we saw progression, which is what we wanted to see. Is he there yet? Is he a done deal? No, he still has some room to grow. I think a lot of quarterbacks in their second and third years, some even in fourth years, are continue to grow and get better. So, obviously next season, hopefully, we're all anticipating a better supporting cast. Whether it's offensive line, receivers, whatnot. And I think that then we'll see Fields take another step in his progression in terms of developing into a fully developed quarterback. But to say he's not the future, or he hasn't developed at all this year, that's just ludicrous. And I can't entertain those kind of comments or anything like that.
What say you, Tyler?
Yeah, I agree with everything Danny just said. I won't entertain those comments. Like, guys, relax. What do you mean? Like, come on, like, show some appreciation. You know what we had before. Like, Justin is our guy. The Giants just clinched the playoff berth for the first time in how many years? And Daniel Jones was their first round pick. And so next year's supporting cast, I'm not giving Justin a slight, because at the end of the day, he does have some bad habits. But guys, this is year 2/year 1. Let him work on it. At the end of the day, I do expect Justin to make the team, people around him, better. At some point in time, I expect Justin to throw people open. at some point in time, I expect Justin to read the defense better. Like make this wide receiver get open. Like how Michael did the Bulls back in the 90s. Like he was getting at him in practice. We don't get access to that type of like media standpoint, but Michael, Kobe, they was in those guys' face behind the scenes. Like if you're not bringing 100%, I don't want you on the field. That type of moxie is what I'm looking for from Justin, who's like the number one athlete in Chicago, in my opinion, next to DeRozan. And so like I'm not disappointed, because at the end of the day, I'm very excited about the offseason and the growth of the development. But I still want to hear from the coaching staff. I want to see if there's any changes to who his supporting cast, Aldo. That's where I'm at with it. But you got to see the open passes. You got to take the 4-yard passes. Those things, in my opinion.
Danny, the Lions accumulated well over 500 yards of total offense. I mean, if we're going to point the finger at anyone, shouldn't we start with defensive coordinator Alan Williams, who I've been defending, but I can't defend what happened out there today. He's got to make sure his guys are fired up. He's got to have bed checks on New Year's Eve to make sure everybody is in by 1 a.m. or whatever time. He has got to come up with a better game plan where you're not accounting for Aiden Hutchinson rushing the quarterback on an end around towards his direction. I mean, this has to lie at the feet of Alan Williams. And my man, Dan Aguirre, has been saying fire Alan Williams. Now I'm starting to think maybe he's got a point. Like he had a point about Khalil Mack being done by his second or third season with the Chicago Bears.
Khalil Mack made the Pro Bowl this year, didn't he?
But he wasn't playing at any high level. By the way, Pro Bowl doesn't mean anything, but please go ahead.
I digress. Sorry. No, I mean, guys, I've been one of the bigger Alan Williams critics here. Just saying, I know he's dealing with not a full deck here, but you got to get creative. You got to do something. At the point when I was criticizing was because there was no pass rush, and he was just sitting back in zone and letting quarterbacks pick him apart. So I thought he should be a little more aggressive. But I mean, in terms of today, he started four rookies in his defensive secondary. I mean, he has no pass rush, still has no pass rush up front. They benched Muhammad. They started Justin Jones at defensive end today. I'm not sure if that was just to kind of hopefully kind of settle in and defend the run better, which obviously it didn't work. The secondary looked like it had no interest in tackling today. Some of the linebackers were taking some bad, angles on the football, not filling the gaps, with any sort of, physicality or anything like that. So it's hard to point the finger at Alan Williams, but I've been on record saying I'm not a fan of this cover 2 or whatever zone defense you want to call it, you want to name it, Tampa 2 or whatever. I'm just not a fan of it. I mean, this is something that's been figured out by the NFL going back to all the way to Dungy days. After that, it was all figured out. Now what we were told was Eberflus was a little more creative in terms of what he brought, some different dimensions to it. Yeah, the base was still covered too, but everything else around it, he played more zone, he played more man, he was a little more aggressive with blitzes. We haven't seen it so far. So what we can do is, like we're kind of saying, hey, this is a year where we kind of just, all we wanted to see was, the development of the quarterback. We're gonna have to give these guys at least a season to see, if they get these players in there that they were talking about in the offseason, see what they do next year. Now, if next year, after I'm assuming you go and you spend a whole draft class or a majority of the draft class on your defense, you bring in some free agents from outside, and you still are this, poor in terms of, getting after the quarterback, you're still getting gashed by second or third string quarterbacks, then it's time to call for Alan Williams' job. So, but as of right now, it's so hard to just say, fire him. He sucks. And Dan might be right. He might suck. But it's hard to kind of say after this type of season with this type of talent he had, he couldn't really put together, what he wanted to do in terms of, the overall package, the everything else. So again, this defense is based off that front four getting pressure on the quarterback. If that front four doesn't get pressure on the quarterback, everything else around it kind of falls apart. So, we'll have to give him kind of a mulligan for this year, if you will. After this offseason, once they get some talent here, and he still has this kind of bad bets, and then it's time to call for someone's job. But right now, you can't fire him based off of what the talent he had to work with this year.
Tyler, I want to comment on what Danny just said, but I want to hear your thoughts first and foremost. What are your frustration levels with the Bears defense? And do you think Alan Williams should be getting a thorough performance review that might include a pink slip?
My initial thought is I don't think he should be fired, but he should be more saying, what is your idea? Like he should be held accountable for what he wants to do going forward. You see what I'm saying? Because you can't fire somebody like Robert Quinn, like Roquan Smith. Like those are big pieces that he thought he had at his disposal coming into the season. And so that being said, hey man, what's your idea? Because what I was waiting for Danny to say it, I hope he was going to say it. If you don't have front four pressure, that doesn't matter. And so we all thought, everybody, when Roquan, all these guys got traded, everybody thought Travis Gibson was about to unleash. And you can see guys aren't really prepared to win those one-on-ones. And when you can't win those one-on-ones, you got to take somebody out of coverage to double team and blitz. And that's not what they wanted to do. And Eberflus already said, this is Allen's show. He said that already. He said, this is his show. I called the defense before, but I advise when he asks questions and everything, but this is his show. And so, but he said that way earlier in the season when we were having a little bit of success. And so, yes, Aldo, he should get an overall great review, but it's more about like, what are you going to do to get these guys prepared? And I think that goes to these young draft picks that are coming in and these free agents. How are you going to develop these guys? Halfway through the season next year, then that may be a different story.
Yeah.
But also my frustration with the defense is we're not getting pressure. If Jalen Johnson doesn't play, we act like we can't stop anything.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tyler. I was going to use some of your exact words regarding the Allen Williams situation. Not only what are your ideas for fixing these problems, but also a thorough review of, we know what you wanted to try to do against this opponent on this particular game. Let's look at the film and tell me why it didn't work, because that's the huge thing. And tell me, he in every press conference, he takes self-accountability. I got to do a better job of putting guys in the right place. All right, Mr. Williams, let's talk about that thoroughly. When did you screw up? And then also tell me when the player screwed up. I want to know everything in detail before making a decision on your future with the Chicago Bears. And I don't want to give up on a first-year coach, but if I am convinced that he is the number one reason or a big reason for the problem this defense is having, because it is pathetic, it is historically bad. If he is part of that reason, then you got to correct the problem immediately, fire the guy, and move on elsewhere. That's how I feel about that. Anybody want to reply to that? Tyler does.
Yeah. So like, I'll just say with that is, it was just suck. So let's just say we fired him, right? Then we get new talent in. Then that new coach has the benefit of all the new talent.
Yeah.
Like that kind of sucks. And guys, and y'all know I was freezing my butt off. Me and my fiance, we went to the Ravens game last week. And let me tell you something. I saw Roquan in action. And Roquan is a beast. I saw it with my own eyes. I was in the stands, and they were like, pay him, pay him. That's what they're yelling. That's what they're yelling about Roquan Smith, because in that game, his sideline and silent availability, his speed, his tenacity. And so that being said, that is a big loss for a defensive coordinator who, if Roquan, he didn't have anybody already. So if Poles was to go to Allen and actually say that, Allen could say, bro, you took away my best guys. I get it, we got draft picks, but some of these guys that's playing, I didn't think they were ready. And so, like, at the end of the day, you can only play with what you got, but at some point in time, talent comes into a factor. Like, everybody, you can have practice superstars, but guys that actually execute on game day, Aldo, in my opinion. And we're not getting the best from our linebackers on that. As you can see, Swift and these guys taking off left and right.
The one thing we can kind of criticize Williams for, and I agree with both of you guys, like you need talent. You got to have talent to evaluate this guy and see if he's competent or not to do the job. What we can criticize him for, in my opinion, is the lack of hustle, the lack of want to out there. Because, like you said, Aldo, he part of a job as a coach is to get your guys ready and to play. More whether it's motivation or whatnot. And the Bears just looked like they were defensively not ready to play. Offensively, looked like they were ready to play in that first quarter. And then after that, I don't know what the hell happened, but I think basically Justin Fields got hurt.
Biggest clearance event for savings you don't want to miss. Save up to 70%
I don't know
starting
where
now
that's coming
on
from.
must-haves like home essentials, active favorites, jeans, sweaters.
That's the Lions have hacked the lead.
Polls.
I'm going to get rid of it. Trust me. There it is. It is gone. Cole's got a free commercial, and whoever else. By the way, I do a lot of shopping in Coast. It's excellent. So if they do want to sponsor this show and our other work here at the Barroom Network, they're more than welcome. Danny, you were in the middle of something.
No, I'm just saying, yeah. The one thing is you gotta base them off terms of like it just looked like they were not ready to play today. Whether again playing on a holiday, I'm not sure if that's not an excuse. You're a professional athlete, and you knew this well ahead of time that you're going to have a game on New Year's Day, so that cannot be an excuse. But it's like that's the thing I think we can't hold Williams and the defensive coaching staff accountable for is the lack of want-to and the lack of hustle today. In terms of talent, in terms of the overall production, the only thing I said earlier, I criticized him because he wasn't getting aggressive enough, knowing that he doesn't have a pass rush. Generate some pressure, rattle some cages in terms of that offensive backfield, and let's see what happens, right? But in terms of firing the man, that's an overreaction in my opinion right now.
Yeah. B Minor says everybody knew it was a rebuild season. Why complain now? Well, the reason is because today's performance was embarrassingly bad. This wasn't about talent, yes, that has a big reason to do it. The Lions are much more talented than the Chicago Bears are at this point, but this also had to do with want. This also had to do with desire. This had to do with Matt Eberflus's philosophy of hits. The team failed in every one of those letters. And so that's what is disturbing. Why has he lost the defense, his specialty? Why has he lost them in week 16 when they went out there, clearly looked that they were out to 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and didn't play with that same intensity that we have appreciated all season long from this defense? And so they have to be accountable. We have to complain. I mean, what are we going to do? Just put on our rose-colored glasses and say everything will be fine. We just wait till next year. No. Nobody is above criticism. I criticized Justin Fields for not finding Chase Claypool 5 yards in front of him and ends up getting sacked for a 6-7 yard play. And then people come after me on social media. No one is above criticism, not even the quarterback that I love and I have a lot of hope for that is going to be the franchise quarterback of this team. So, having said that, what else are we upset about? Let's get it all out. Danny, go ahead, Tyler.
No, Aldo, you're right. And what you and Danny have said together is the number one reason why a coach get fired is if you lost the locker room. And that's what the question is. If the guys are no longer responsive to you, which would be kind of weird because this is the first year. Is that like the same song and dance? Like Bruce Aaron, like you want to get a new voice in there. Like all these guys, you would think they'd be more excited because a lot of these guys didn't expect to play. When you don't expect to play, this is your opportunity to like get some good tape out there. Like this is the NFL. Like your career can be over tomorrow. It's New Year's Day. Get a highlight. That could change everything. You just never know who's watching. So it was disappointing from like the opportunity to get on the field, to fulfill your dream and play in the NFL. Like, it's just funny and weird when you wonder why Icky Johnson, when guys wonder why they don't go in the first round. Because you weren't given that first round, like, capability when you had the opportunity. Then when you got the opportunity, you don't go all out. You're holding back for whatever reason. And it goes back to the mentality. And so we could blame the coach, but this is on the players. And the players will not, you can't be confused why you're not here next year. And that's what I'm hoping also our coaching staff does is the players who don't want to hold to his principle need to be gone. We need to raise the status bar on the standards. Are we playing varsity? Is this varsity? Do we have Olympic ambitions? Like that's what I want. Like don't hold on to play. We're not just holding on because they're nice guys. They're nice guys and they listen to you. But if the coaches aren't being challenged or the players not being challenged, that's just going to hold us back for being a playoff contender team. Pohl said he was getting his team groomed up for longevity success. Well, we got to raise the bar on all spectrums in the organization, in my opinion.
I mean, the national media, the national commentator compared your defense to a scout team defense. I mean that, and for a proud franchise, that's embarrassing. You know, that is embarrassing to have that kind of comparison made on national television. So the one thing about all the comments about losing the locker room, and I agree with Tyler in terms of, if the guys are loafing out there, they're not playing to your standards, they're got to be gone. The good news is half this team will be gone because they're most are on 1-year contracts and they're all, playing, that's the thing is like, you're surprised too, right? Because you would think they would want to put out good tape out there because they are free agents after this year. And they want to kind of get, if not with the Bears, with another organization, you want to put, bad tape out there. But, it's just the lackadaisical, was it just, they knew they were overmatched and they just kind of gave in. I'm not sure what the whole thing was, but that's the one thing about losing the locker room. The good thing about it is if he has lost some of these players, at least they can clean house and get rid of a majority of them anyway.
Bear Truth 9 makes another good point. He always does when he pops in. He says the players see what's going on with the tank. That's hard to play. It's hard to play 100% when it's in your subconscious mind. And I totally agree with him. Now, I agree that this whole organization had to be torn apart with the exception of a few players, starting with Justin Fields. I agree. I agree with the trade of Khalil Mack. I agree with the trade of Quinn. You got to tear it all down. But there are dangerous aspects about that game plan. And right now, it is looking a little shaky. Hopefully that everyone from Ryan Poles on down will be able to regroup, have a great draft, have a great free agency acquisition. The coaches will step up and deliver on their promises. But right now, things do look shaky because they should not be looking this bad as they did today on New Year's Day. And perhaps we're overreacting to one game, but let's remember, what is the losing streak at? 9, 10?
Yeah.
That's been a whole season. This defense has sucked pretty much for the whole season. I mean, it's not like we're overreacting one game. I think we're more surprised in terms of the lack of hustle, the lack of commitment to try and make a play today. I think that's more what kind of drew us back to it. But the defense has sucked the whole year, guys. I mean, we've been out here talking about it, all three of us, including John, make it 4 of us. We've been talking about how bad the defense has looked throughout the season. And it's just the matter of, they don't have the horses right now to do what they did. The thing, again, I keep going back to this, but is what we want to see from the coaching staff. And I'm on record saying I'm not a fan of this defensive coverage, this defensive philosophy, this cover 2 stuff. I don't like it. I'm done with it. I hate it. But it is what it is, right? I don't make the decisions. They've hired this coach. This coach believes in it. But, he also believes in certain players and certain, talent to make it up to the standards that quality standards of NFL standards. So we'll see what happens when he gets those players. And again, if he's not doing what, if he gets these players and you're still this bad and they're still getting up all these points, they're still getting gashed, in terms of by running backs, then their heads are going to roll.
Tyler, my man. I just was going to say, my man Nomad, with the great chat a post here, guys are protecting their bodies for tomorrow. It's a natural reaction when you know that you're soon going to be a free agent. Please go ahead, Tyler. I apologize.
No apology necessary. And that's a great comment. But at the end of the day, that doesn't make sense because if you don't give good tape, there is no tomorrow for you. Like if you're a part of it, like people, like opportunities aren't a given. When your agent goes to fight for you for another team, that team wants your film. If your film is you loafing, then what are you saving yourself for? Because I can't really fathom, like, as somebody, I consider myself trying to be an athlete shape today. I can't fathom getting an opportunity, and I would have to be out of breath, gas, like, damn, I might have sucked, but I can't breathe right now because I gave it all. Like, that's what we want to see. Are you giving it your all? And and you can actually see that if you're like getting tackled, even a damn arm tackle, if you're off your feet. You saw how many, like, guys, it was over 30 points unanswered. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Like, what are we talking about? This is the NFL. This is your freaking dream job, bro. You're getting millions of dollars. Most of those guys probably getting $500,000. Still, it's a lot of money.
Yep. And the microcosm of all that, guys, was that 3rd and 19. Well, I believe it was a handoff. It was a draw play to, I want to say it was DeAndre Swift, where he broke like 3 tackles. Well, the 3 Bear defenders had him in the grasp, and he got a first down. I mean, 3rd and 19, halfback, draw, and the guy gets a first down. So that tells you. And the 3 defenders had their arms around his waist or had a chance to bring him down, and they didn't do it. I mean, that was just like a microcosm of what we're talking about here today.
And Danny, it's like nobody wants to say, I'm going to take over. I'm going to be the all-star now. Like, I'm coming in. I'm shutting this shit down.
Well, all the dogs, you think about it, Tyler, all the dogs are hurt, right? All the dogs on defense, right? Jalen Johnson wasn't playing. Sanborn wasn't playing. Eddie Jackson wasn't playing.
Let's go to Matt Eberflus at the podium.
I felt like they had inside and also pressure on the edge.
Awful audio.
Had that one series where they had the back-to-back sacks, but it just felt like they were collapsing the pocket pretty good, and I think Justin felt that. But that's what I saw. No, it is important. It's important for us to be able to do that, going forward, this last game, that's why, late into the game, we kept Justin in there, because we want to get the game experience. You can't really get that anywhere else, and so that's why we decided as a staff, and we decided as, working with Justin, he said, man, I want to be in there. Credit to him. He's like, man, coach, I'm still going out there. I want to be able to operate, and in his toughness and his grit, he wants to go out there and compete. And so that's what we did. Well, him with his leg, working through his leg, I think it's he was going to be in there with a limited number of plays. But again, so we were working through that. Didn't know if he was going to be up or not. So again, that was a limited role for him. But again, that's where it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we certainly discussed it. Every single series we were discussing it, and we said, let's get him out there. Let's get him out there and do another 2-minute drive and get the experience. Yeah, I mean, you can certainly look at it that way, but, like we said, Justin's got to be back there and operate. And, again, there's going to be different people out at certain times, and he's got to be able to operate, get rid of the ball when it's not there, and do a good job having poise in the pocket. Yeah. So the whole sequence there was decent for us, except for the last play, So we end up banging some timeouts. They end up kicking the field goal. We told Velas, hey, take it out no matter what, So we want to get a return. If we get the return, then we're going to do, whatever we need to do at that point based on the time. So all those things happened sequentially, which was great. Velas obviously a great return, and we had 7 seconds ball on the 45. So now you're working to your kick line. No timeouts. You're working to your kick line there. Wherever the kick line was for that particular situation. Sometimes it's 7 yards you got to get, sometimes it's 8 yards, whatever that is, and working a sideline play. And we had a problem lining up, and it wasn't executed right. So we got to do a better job there on offense. Yeah, that's what we would have done too. We'd have done the same thing. Yeah, they're gonna line up wall defense, sideline defense, all that. They're gonna do that. So. Yeah, it's a lineman assignment. It's a lineman assignment, get lined up, execute the play. And we've executed that play numerous times in practice. Yep. Yeah, I just go back to what I just kind of tried to state was that in-game experience, there's nothing like it. We're not going to get that anywhere else. And again, that's a good pass rushing group. So I thought it was really good to get that experience. Now, did it turn out the way he wanted to or the way we wanted to? No, it didn't. But you got to work through that adversity. You got to work through that and figure it out as coaches, as players. We just got to do a better job. Yeah. Right. I didn't see it either. I got to go back and look at the tape. All I heard from the training staff was that he was out. That's all I know right now. Yeah, certainly getting DJ back certainly helped them. He's obviously a dynamic player, and they did a good job today. Yeah, I would just say that we got to do a good job of just in the run game, being in our gaps, the passing game. We got to do a good job of pressuring the quarterback, staying in our coverage. If it's match coverage or zone coverage, we got to do a better job there.
You've been preaching that all year. That working, you're getting it, and at this point, we have concern here that whatever the message is teaching, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're a coach, you're always looking at execution. So that I'll just go back to that. We'll look at execution. We'll look and see if we're putting the players in the right position and seeing if we're executing our technique. Yeah, I would just be, to me, when you get 30 net passing, that's a byproduct of the sacks. So we had 7 sacks against us. That's quarterback on offensive line getting rid of the ball, taking care of the football, and that's all 11 of us, protecting that quarterback, and also when it breaks down, him getting rid of the ball. So that's really a function of that. Obviously, it still needs to be better though. The passing game needs to be better. You got to do a better job getting chunk plays, and giving them time to get the chunk plays, and the protection's got to be there too. Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that. Of course, we count loafs and all those things for every single play, and we've always done that. We'll continue to do that, but I don't see that. It's more about guys, being where they're supposed to be, in the right spot. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it'll be Ryan and I talking about it. If he's healthy, good to go, he's going. So we're gonna get the experience, and he's got to play and learn and get better every single week.
Talk about the offensive context. We finally really there was a period during the season because progress again.
Right.
Ball was scoring, but not even a loss. What has changed? There was injuries before, but what has changed? Coaching or player wise that now seems to be struggling.
Yeah, and again, that's our charge as coaches to figure that out. It's our charge to be able to move the ball down the field and score points, and we did that first couple drives. So we got to continue and sustain that during the course of the game. But again, we got to take that what we're doing in the beginning of the game, just keep extending that.
That is the end of the press conference with head coach Matt Eberflus. I don't know. He looked like a guy that really didn't care so much about the loss. I think he's getting a bonus for every game the Bears lose. What do you guys think?
What concerned me was he said, well, I didn't see the loafs. Well, if you didn't see the loafs, I mean, okay, I'll give him some slack there because he's on the sideline. Maybe he'll get a better idea when he watches the all-22. But I mean, you didn't see the loafs. That concerns me. And the other thing was, I know he kept kind of saying that the passing game and Justin have to be better and all that stuff. So, he's also not just saying, all right, it wasn't all, the offensive line so he's actually holding everyone accountable, which is good to see as well. So there were a couple of interesting comments from our, well, I'll let Tyler go ahead and give his thoughts before I talk about some of the comments from the chat, but
you bet
it. Guys, so I can't be more upset than the head coach. Like, that's just wrong. Like, and this is what I learned. This is psychologically bad for our health. If we are more upset than the people that's actually in charge. We've witnessed some first-time head coaches already get fired this season. But like what I'm seeing from our head coach is he has no worries. He doesn't look upset about the loss. He kind of looks like this is the game plan. It looked like he didn't expect to win. Because you're upset when you put in a bunch of effort and you don't get the desired results. He said, the guys that are out there, we're just going to see if they execute. What does that mean? Did they get to the spot they were supposed to be at? He's not talking about winning or losing. He's not talking about catch the damn ball in the end zone. He's talking about, did he go outside when we say go? Like, bro, I'm trying to get not upset. I cannot believe how relaxed he was just now. But this is why it's like, bro, why didn't y'all just say, y'all been saying all season long it's not a rebuild. Just say it's a damn rebuild and we wouldn't be so mad then. Like, it's just like, why are you playing with our emotions as fans? Because that's where it's like, bro, what are you really trying to get accomplished? I get it. We know you need.
Tyler's been having some problems with his microphone all day. He is now frozen. Go ahead, Mr. Shimon.
No, I think it's a couple of points that are brought up in the chat where is Eberflus the right coach for this job, and that's too early to tell. He may very well not be the right coach for the job, but the one thing I do have to give him credit for, and I think and what something to kind of talk to attest to Tyler's comments there was, he knew what this season was going to be all about, right? Coming into it. He didn't come out there and publicly say it. And we've gone over this guys before in terms of why he couldn't do that. he had 53 players on a team to kind of coach through a 17-game schedule. So I think he knew what the season was about, and I think he was going in it to trying to find some players, trying to lay that foundation in terms of the culture, and then find some talent, and then build from there. So I think that's that. But to the question in terms of, is this guy the right guy for the coach, the right coach for the team? I think he is. I'm not 100% on that. I know I've been going up and down, and again, I have to hold myself back and let my emotions kind of stay in check and say, all right, this guy's it's his first year. We know what he's going to put through. What the situation was. We got to give him some time. And like I said, this offseason is going to be huge. Ryan Poles might not be the right guy for the job. We don't know that, right, guys? We have to give these guys at least 1 or 2 full off seasons, and possibly even 3 off seasons, just to kind of let them put in their, their culture, their players, and see what happens from there. The good news is you have the key important position, a quarterback already, there, right? And now you just kind of build a team around him. So, I'm going to be watching with a keen eye for both Eberflus and Ryan Poles, and see how these 2 men perform their jobs in the next, 2 or 3 seasons for sure.
Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah. It'll be very disappointing to see if these guys aren't the right guys. And so, I want to say week 1, if we're not contending for the division next year, if we're not getting over 6 wins next year, over 10 wins, that's going to be a really big eye, just a finder in terms of you were brought here for player development. That was one of our key issues. We weren't growing our own homegrown talent. He's going to get that opportunity because we have so many picks. He's going to get an opportunity to grow the talent. And so, but like you said, Danny, he looked like he just knew what he had. But Poles should know that too. So who do you blame? If the GM knew what he was doing, so it's really it's a total wait and see game. It's a total wait and see game. They better bring in A-grade talent. We better get Danny. Those first 2 picks, we better hit on. We better hit on that pass rusher. We better hit on that D tackle, that offensive lineman, because if we don't, who gets the blame at that point?
Right. That's where we start collecting names and saying, all right, you missed here, you missed there. Now we have some proof in terms of, right, hey, either one or both of these guys can't do the job, and that's where you start then, calling for jobs. But right now, after this year, they didn't come on and tell us what their plan was, but we kind of read through the tea leaves here. We see what their plan was in terms of what they're trying to do here. So, I mean, after one season, to call for anyone's job is just an overreaction, and it's not going to happen. But, we'll just you have to keep a keen eye on both the coaching staff and the front office, and see what they do here and how they go ahead and build this football team. And that's then we're going to be giving praise for making the right picks, or we start, going at them here with blowing away cap money, blowing away draft capital and all that stuff.
So Danny, quick question.
Go ahead, Tyler.
So why, and because I think we both agree, why did the Broncos head coach get fired?
Oh, you mean Nathaniel Hackett?
Yeah,
because he was Matt Nagy 2.0. I mean, he was a guy that had lost total control of that football team. I mean, there's offensive linemen pushing back up quarterbacks. I mean, there's infighting. That first of all, he lost total control. I knew he had lost total control of this team in the preseason. You know when they introduced Russell Wilson, and he goes up there and says, "Whoa, guys, that's Russell Wilson over there." Like he's in awe of Russell Wilson. You're a head damn coach of this team. You're the leader of this football team. That's your quarterback. That's a player that's beneath you in terms of he listens to you. You're his boss, sort of say, right? You don't go out there in awe of a guy. And I knew right there, this guy was going to lose control of his locker room. And he did. It was a free for all. The defensive players were sniping at the offensive players. There was a bunch of stuff going on. And I think he just lost. It was a shit show, to be frank there. And I call him Nathaniel Nagy. I mean, he had totally lost control of the damn football team.
Tyler, you talked about the draft picks, and so before Justin Fields interrupts us with his press conference, I'd love to know from you guys, starting with Danny, did you get a chance to see the national championship playoff games yesterday? And so what were your impressions of Will Anderson, the edge rusher from Alabama, and Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia, both of them highly rumored to be Chicago Bears players next season if the draft works out the way some people think? Danny, you first.
Well, Anderson didn't play yesterday, so I didn't see. I don't think Alabama's played their bowl game yet. So
yeah,
no, it was
Anderson
TCU and
played.
Michigan. It was TCU and Michigan,
That's right.
and Jalen Carter with now I haven't seen the ending of the Georgia game, so please, because I was at a party last night. I've watched 3/4 of it. Please don't kill it for me. But what I will say, what is Jalen Carter really disappointing me, and again, I'm not going to base my whole analysis off of one game, but his conditioning looked horrible. I mean, he looked like he was out of shape. He was winded. A lot of one-on-one blocks. They were pancaking him. There were some times where he did win his one-on-ones and got some pressure there. But again, I'm not gonna base it off of that. But it wasn't a great game for Jalen Carter. And so if this was your first exposure to Jalen Carter, it wasn't, you're not really sold on him being the number 2 overall pick. So we'll say that. What did impress me was Marvin Harrison Jr. is one hell of a freaking receiver, guys, and he's not eligible for this draft. So he's a guy in next year's draft that you can kind of hope and root for. But what's good for the Bears is C.J. Stroud had a good game. And we talked about it, although you and I briefly, and when I jumped on Buffon 55 this week, was the more quarterbacks that play well and show out in these final few games, the better it is for the Bears, meaning because there's going to be obviously quarterback hungry teams that are going to want to come up and get one of these guys. I think Will Levis goes number 1 to Houston right now as of today. What's today? January 1st. I think Will Levis is going number 1 in Houston. I think CJ Stroud, showed well last night, made some damn good throws. His ability to kind of feather that ball with touch in between the second and third levels versus a Georgia defense that's pretty damn good was very impressive. Again, I didn't see that in the game, so I'm not sure if anything happened towards the end where he kind of blew it. But just from the first 3/4 of the game, I think CJ Stroud looked pretty damn good in terms of also showing his ability to run with the football, maybe be not a dual threat like a Justin Fields, but give you an option if he needs to use his legs. I think that also helps. So I think more teams now will see that and kind of put together his body of work in terms of what he's done throughout his career at Ohio State. That only bodes well because teams now are going to want to maybe come up and maybe get him. That's what I took out of that.
By the way, Alabama did play yesterday, so I'm not going to tell you what happened, the score of the game, since you don't like to be surprised on stuff. Tyler, your thoughts on what you may have seen from these players?
I was oblivious. I didn't watch any college football yesterday. I was so excited about New Year's Eve, and so finishing that up. But I'm highly interested. Are we currently right now number 2 overall?
We are. Yes, we are indeed. Firmly entrenched at 2. I didn't see the score of the Texans game, but I don't think it was.
Texans, I think we're down 28-0, and I think Denver was losing by 3 to KC before I jumped on here tonight. So I think we're pretty secure at number 2 right now. I'm not sure if we win next week, then all bets are off. I don't know the numbers in terms of how far we could fall if the Bears win next week, which could be something to kind of be worried about, guys, because if Justin Fields does play and Minnesota does rest a lot of their guys, although I think with Philly, I think Philly lost today, right, Aldo? So I think if with Philly losing today, Minnesota still has a chance to get home that first round bye, I believe.
Right.
Yes.
Which is good because it means they're not going to rest their starters. That means that they're probably going to win the game. So that if those are people who are worried about the draft pick, that's a good result for you guys.
Go ahead, Tyler.
No, I was just saying like that to your point, Danny. If those quarterbacks, if we trade down, that'd be awesome to collect a couple more assets. As long as we can still get that generational talent in that top 5.
I think what happens is now if you do drop down, depending on how far you drop down, obviously I wouldn't drop out of the top 8 or 10 for sure. But now when you drop down, there's a couple of players I really liked already earmarked. I mean, I've talked about Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, the edge rusher. I put on his tape and the guy Tyler, if you have a chance to watch him, he's fun to watch, man. You want to talk about physicality, you want to talk about a guy who's got all the length and everything you need. He's a dominant edge rusher guy. Doesn't have the numbers that you will see with Will Anderson, but he's definitely a guy that makes his presence felt. And the only thing with him though is we talked about it this past week was he's coming off a foot injury, a broken bone in his foot. Big guys and fragile feet scare me. So just going back to the NBA days, right? I know it's a different sport, but just still, that's got to be thoroughly checked out. But if everything checks out good, Tyree Wilson is an edge rusher that fits this defense. And then now if you go even further, if you go other side, you go offensive line. Obviously, the kid from Northwestern, Skoronski, could come in and play left guard, replace Cody Whitehair, and be a future stalwart there next to Braxton Jones. And then also Paris Johnson, the kid from Ohio State. He plays left tackle for Ohio State, but he's played right tackle, and that's where I would see him at. I would see him at right tackle for the Bears, a guy that could solidify that position. Roderick Jones, left tackle from Georgia, is another guy, but he's more probably mid to late first round, if depending on, again, how far back you drop off. So, if you drop out of that top 8 or 10, you're probably looking at offensive, defensive line at that point, in my opinion.
Tyler, I know you've got to take off to attend to other things. Why don't you unmute your microphone and give us your final words, my man?
My final thoughts, final words. Danny, I wish I could stick around, but I'll wait for you for the next time. I hope Braxton Jones gets some good work this offseason. He's a nice young man. He really holds himself accountable, and so I know when he has a tough game, he's really tough on himself. So I'm looking to see how he bounces back. And overall, I'm excited. I am excited about the future because, like, you can't mess it. It will be we can't mess up this offseason. If we mess up this offseason, it's like what set us back 5 years. And so
you aren't kidding. That is the understatement of the day, the statement of the day. You're right, Tyler, brother.
You mess up this offseason, it's like drafting a quarterback number 1 who's a bust. That's all it is.
Yep.
And so this is really the pure setup. And for the benefit of Justin Fields, this young man trusting us with his career, I hope we just get it right with the staff. I don't want to say hopefully we lose next week, but I don't want to win. So let's be real. But I do want to be competitive, guys, because when we lost to the Vikings, we were actually winning. We were winning. They stripped us at the end. And so when I know we have what it takes to be competitive. And so I know what it looks like when we don't try to win, which makes it even more frustrating. But at the same time, it's pretty cool that we have somebody in the division competing for the number 1 seed in NFC. And so we can be there if we want to be. But my final thoughts are it's good to be back, to see you guys. It's going to be a happy new year. Be safe. Have a great one, Bears fans, Bears Nation. Don't be mad. These guys are getting paid no matter what. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you all next week.
All right, Tyler. Happy New Year to you and all your loved ones, your beautiful family, and we'll talk soon, brother.
Thanks, brothers. Take care.
Take care.
That is Tyler Ellis. You can catch him on the Twitter machine at The Real Gains, Gains. Good follow. He always posts lots of video of him working out, which really does not do anything for my self-confidence. It should inspire me, but it doesn't. It makes me depressed. Danny, philosophical question here as we wait for Justin Fields to come to the podium. All right, we know that Justin Fields is maybe the most electrifying quarterback in the National Football League right now. But what I want to know is, where is your level of confidence that he can become a better than average passer in the National Football League? Take it away.
Oh, I'm very confident. I don't think it surprises you, Aldo, because I love this kid. I love this kid coming out of Ohio State. I was excited later when the Bears took him, and has it been a slow process? Yeah, but we've gone into the reasons why and all that stuff. But besides the talent, besides the upgrade in receiver and offensive line, I think what you have is you have a offensive coordinator that it looks to build game plans around his talent and around his skill set. And we talked about earlier in terms of at the halftime, you asked me how impressed I was about him breaking or getting second all time in terms of rushing yards. Yeah, that's very impressive, but it's not something that I want to have this kid hang his hat on, because that's not what he's going to be. If he's successful and the Bears are successful, he's going to be a quarterback that's going to be a dual threat quarterback that's going to hurt you with both his arm and his legs. And we've seen it, guys, this year. I've done a bare truths that we were broken down him making plays in the pocket. I've also showed you where he holds on to the football too long, where he's a little bit too skittish in terms of doesn't go through a full progression, just kind of feels a little bit of pressure and just decides to get out of there or escape. And then at that same time, we'll miss a receiver coming open, or we'll just hold on to the football, take a sack or whatnot. So there are areas of his game he needs to get coached on and improved. But like I said, my belief is, and hopefully I'm proven correct here, is that they're going to build this offense strictly around Justin Fields, around what he does best. And I think they're going to bring in big body receivers where he pulls already on record saying he likes big body receivers. Already traded a high second round pick for a guy like Claypool, who's a big body receiver who does when he gets an opportunity, to go up there and make a play on a football. So, he likes those kind of guys. He's going to get those kind of players around him. And I think that's just going to help benefit Justin Fields. We've seen him with the dual, running backs in the backfield. If Montgomery does leave, I think they will replace him with a draft pick. Again, I don't pay running backs second contracts, no matter how much I love them. And I love David Montgomery, but I just do not give running backs second contracts. I go and I find another one in the draft. So that's another area you can upgrade. Now, we talked about Khalil Herbert being a nice running back replacement. He's got areas of his game he needs to improve on, namely pass blocking. Once he gets that squared away, you bring in a nice rookie or a young player to back him up. Get another 1-2 punch, so you can help him with a nice strong running game. Some big body receivers on the outside. You have a developing young tight end in Cole Kmet. You continue to build that offensive line, and then most importantly, you got to get a defense that supports them. So if a defense that can make turnovers, create turnovers, give Justin Fields in the offense, prime position to go and put easy points on the scoreboard is also going to help the Bears and help Justin Fields and that offense get better and better as well. So it goes both hands. You need a strong defense, you need a strong running take, you need some weapons on the outside to go ahead and support this kid.
Here is Justin Fields at the podium. Let's go to him now.
And the fact that I know that my guys are fighting for me, and they know fighting for them. That's all the motivation I need. So, to be honest with you, I don't care what the scoreboard is. If I have the chance to go out there and play, I'm gonna do it every time, and I'm gonna play, my hardest. So, there was, full desire to play. So. Just me. I think sometimes first down, I'm getting pressure. I'm trying to make a play out of nothing, and I take a sack for 6-7 yards, and we're now second and 15, so I can't do that. And then, they got back there pretty fast today, on some plays. So we just got to be better up front. They know that. And, it just starts with me. So just got to get better for my guys and, keep working, keep going. I'm sorry? I mean, it's meaningful, every time, every game. Of course, we want to, we want to put our best product out there, and as a team, we know we didn't do that today. So all we can do is go back and work and keep getting better. No, that play right there was a call and a running play. We didn't expect that look. And I mean, to be honest with you, I should have just thrown the ball away. I don't know why I did that, but you live and you learn, and just keep getting better. So, yeah. You said, how did they sit with me? I mean, they're not gonna, kill me on the inside. I mean, it's simple. You learn from the mistakes and you get better from it. I mean, I'm not the type of person to just be like, oh, like this and that. Like I'm just not that type of person. Mentally, spiritually. I've been through tough times before, so my only response is just to keep working, keep getting better, keep learning, keep growing, and and everything that I go through, it's for a reason. And I think I've been telling you all that since last year. Like everything happens for a reason. That's what I believe. So, we're gonna learn and grow from this game, and just keep getting better. Yeah, I mean, I knew that play was gonna, be a good play. Of course, we ran that QB sneak with Cole a few weeks ago, so we've been practicing that play for about 2-3 weeks now, and finally got it off the play call sheet. So it was a good play call and good execution. It was good. I think I almost tripped on that play, so I was just trying to stay up, and then of course had an explosive play. So yeah. Yeah, he was frustrated. He's a passionate player. He's passionate about the game, but I think his emotions. He was just showing his emotion, which is cool. It's great to have emotion in the game, but you just have to know how to control it. And you can't let it come out like that, because at the end of the day, that's not helping anybody. That's not helping the team. Everybody's frustrated. We're getting blown out. Like, just call it what it is. We're getting, we got punched in the mouth. Everybody, everybody feels that way. But we talked to him. I talked to him like, that's not going to do anything. That's not helping anybody. That's just, spreading everybody apart. We need to be here for each other, stick with each other, and fight. Because I mean, it's not many teams in this league are gonna fight the way we did. I just I don't know. I'm getting really passionate, but it's just like every drive we were getting blown out, and I'm like, like, I don't care what the scoreboard is. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna play our hardest, and they know that I'm doing that. So I mean, of course, going back on Chase, he's passionate, but just has to learn how to control those emotions, keep them inside, and just know what's gonna be best for the team. He was like, yeah, my fault. I'm just frustrated right now. So he responded well, and I think he learned from that moment, and just gonna grow from it. So yeah, now you're good.
How do you view that relationship from the football sense as well now?
What do you mean? How do I?
Where do you think things are at?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think that can go?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. He's a hard worker. I know he wants to be great. So I think, just the more time we get to spend with each other, the more time we'll get to, know each other. And I told some guys in there, just being able to practice early in the week, that just gets me on the same page as him, just, seeing how he runs routes and this stuff like that. So of course we want to get him the ball. But yeah, I mean, just being passionate about the game like he is, and, his want to be great, I think it's good for our team. And, we're just going to keep getting better and keep growing and learn. Do we have a long way to go?
Yeah, you think there's like a lot of work to do to get that where it should be, for instance, given the fact that he hasn't been around very long, and then both of them.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And y'all got to keep in mind that he came in the middle of the season. It's hard to learn an offense like this, in the middle of the season. And I think, he's done a good job with that. But, by the time next year, we're rolling. I mean, it's a whole off season. I'm going to link up with him in the off season, and we're going to get work in, and, we're going to keep, working. And I just know his passion for the game, and know, his work ethic. And I know that he wants to be great. So we're going to get together and work out and just get on that same page in the off season. Yeah, we just put Cole on the choice route. Cover 3 choice isn't really great. And then I kind of just saw the middle kind of come open right there. I think it was like 3rd and 5, something like that. So I just saw a crease right there and just hit it and got the big game. I don't think so. I think you're never gonna have a perfect performance, but they are fighting for a playoff spot. We knew that earlier in the week. We knew it was going to be a playoff environment. Their fans were loud out there, and they came with some juice today. So, I mean, you do have to give credit to those guys, because they know they have a shot at making the playoffs. So I don't think you necessarily have to play perfect. I just have to play better than I did today. Not putting my team in 2nd and 15s, taking sacks on plays that I shouldn't be getting sacked on, just trying to make a play out of nothing. So just learning from that and throwing the ball away, and yeah. I didn't see him. Yeah, just came in, shook it from the back. So good play. So, yeah, appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.
You're on mute, Aldo.
Justin Fields, I apologize. I promise not to be on mute anymore. Justin Fields really sounded very mature. I don't know if somebody sat down with him in the middle of the season, because there were a couple of post-game performances where he seemed pouty and not very communicative. But since then, he has sounded 101% as a true leader, measured, thoughtful, sounded like he was taking accountability. I mean, he said that today. He's got to be smarter about things. He was referring to a Chase Claypool situation where Chase got angry in the sideline. This, according to Kevin Fishbane, Bears wide receiver Chase Claypool was hot as he went to the sideline after that 3rd down play. I'm assuming that's the reference to that play where he had Claypool wide open for at least a 5-yard gain. Claypool then tossed his helmet to the ground, voiced his frustration to wide receiver coach Tyke Tolbert. Justin Fields came over and talked to him for a minute. To me, this is a leader in Justin Fields. Danny, your thoughts?
No, I agree 100% what you said, and that's the thing. You know, I like the fact he took accountability. He said that's on me. I got to get rid of the football. Like I said earlier, you know, he's used to just holding on to the ball and making plays, whether it's with his feet, buying time, and letting guys come open. I think that, you know, that's something that he's been doing his whole life, and he's got to get coached out of that. In the NFL, you can't do that. You just got to take what you can. I know sometimes you have to give up on a play sooner than you want, but you just got to make sure it's a positive play. You know, you don't want to take negative plays, and I think that was a prime example where take that 5 or 6 yard, whatever in a game would have been to Claypool. It'll have been better than being, you know, 3rd and 20, whatever it was after that sack. So that's the thing. And I think, you know, one thing what Justin is, and he said he's done it throughout this whole season. Really, he sat up there and said, you know what, I got to get better. I got to get with my receivers. I'm going to work with them. We know he did it last offseason with Darnell Mooney. Hopefully this year we'll have Mooney, Claypool, some other guys, whoever's on his team out there, maybe Eberflus Jones out there as well, working with him and getting better. So, you know, the one thing is you know, that's one of the things I love about Justin Fields is like not only do you see the talent there, you know, yeah, he's got to be a little bit coached up there, but the off the field stuff, you know, and you saw it at Ohio State. You saw him take that leadership role when that game against Clemson where he broke a rib and refused to come out and connect through 3 touchdowns. So, you know, that's the kid you want. That's the competitor you want leading your franchise. And I think the Bears have, and that's one reason I'm so excited about the Bears having this kid as their quarterback. So, but definitely, yeah, it's something that I didn't see that Claypool incident. I don't think they showed it on a national TV. So that's why when he was talking about it, I was a little bit caught off guard in terms of what happened. But thanks for getting that clear up there, Aldo. But yeah, I mean, that's something where obviously Claypool's feeling the heat, right? Because, you know, he came out this week and said, you know, guys, hope no one's given up on me yet, you know, because I know there's expectation on him. You know, they gave up a high pick for him. And I think, you know, he knows that there's pressure for him to perform. And I think that's, you know, that's good in a way, right? Because you don't want the guy just to not give a crap. So the guy wants to produce. He wants to be out there, be a big time player. So that's a good sign from Claypool's end. And get with the quarterback, and like I said, work on your timing and your chemistry together. And hopefully next season come back and you have a season that's productive and that's, you know, that's worthy of giving up that 2nd round pick for.
So you know, I understand Zach's point here. He says he says he didn't pull the trigger. Let me just read it exactly. So he won't pull the trigger and help his teammates develop, but we're praising him for taking blame. Fields is only concerned with making the play himself. And I think that's what Danny was just saying. You know, when you have extraordinary athletes and competitors like Justin Fields, sometimes you've got to coach them out of that hero mentality and say, take the lesser here. Live to play another day. And that's what Danny's been preaching, right, Danny?
Yes. He's used to just being able to make plays happen by time with his athletic ability throughout high school, throughout college. You know, you see all over his tape, you know, he can buy some time and he'll look upfield and make throws on the field and see guys coming open, you know, late in the play. But the NFL is a different ball game. The NFL, you have only so many seconds to really get rid of that football. And at some point, he's going to have to speed up his play clock and say, all right, I'm out here, I'm running around for 5, 6 seconds. Just find someone, whether it's a 3 yard, 5 yard, 8 yard game, just throw the ball to them and let's get that positive play and move on. Right. Obviously there are certain points in the game where that's not going to be the case, right? If it's a last play of the game, you're down by a touchdown, you're going to try and do something there. Last play of the half, maybe you could throw it up and see what happens. But during the middle of the game, even if you're down by 2 scores, you know, getting a positive play on 1st or 2nd down is only going to help you, obviously, as opposed to taking a sack or trying to fit the ball into coverage and having it picked off, you know? So that's one of the things he needs to be coached out of. And that's this play right here, just showing here on the screen, although that had me screaming, like, throw the damn ball, just throw it. He's open. You know, we saw it in the Giants game earlier in the year where you know, he missed, he didn't miss. He's seen it. It's not that he's not seeing Claypool there. Guys, he's seeing Claypool. Right. It's just he wants to get something bigger downfield because he has 2 other routes probably developing downfield, and he's waiting for those to come open. Well, they're not coming open. If they're not open by now, they're not going to come open. So you just throw it to Claypool and take those whatever 5, 6, 7 yards and move on to the next play. That's what he needs to start doing more often than not.
All right. Since I posted this on Twitter. Let's listen to what I said. Danny, Cover your ears because I don't want your.
I heard it. I heard it.
Get rid of this ball. You can't hold the ball this long. Throw it to Chase. You got him there. Get rid of the fucking ball. Sorry. Fields just got
it. I like it because that's exactly those are my sentiments too. Those are my sentiments. Like, just throw it. Don't. First of all, you're taking a negative play. You're going to get sacked. You're taking a hit. Second of all, right? And the Lions are out there, like you said. Lions are out there to make him feel every single hit. And I'm sure that was something that they were coached up. This is their best playmaker. This is their MVP on offense. Make him feel every single damn hit. And, that's another thing is just get rid of the football. Don't take an unnecessary hit and move on to the next play. And that's something that he's going to have to start doing.
Got a question here for you, Danny. How difficult is that to teach after playing quarterback at the highest levels in the past? Are those traits teachable, Laz is concerned?
They are, Laz. It's something that he's gonna have to learn with experience and just kind of pounding it into his head. If for example, this is a bad example, but my son doesn't put away his damn dishes after he's done eating, and I keep telling him, you got to keep doing it, you got to keep doing it, and eventually he'll end up just start doing it, right? So I think that's one thing this is his first year in the offense, and I think once he starts seeing these, and it's going to be pounded in his head in the offseason. They're going to keep telling him, just get rid of the football. If nothing develops, this is the NFL, guys. If nothing develops within this amount of time, just get rid of the football, throw it away. Another thing is he doesn't like throwing the football away, and he's going to have to do it. And then when he throws it away, he's got to throw it away out of bounds, like completely uncatchable. So, those are things he's going to have to just kind of get used to. Now, they might go get him a big play receiver, a la like an AJ Brown, for example. I'm just saying not AJ Brown, him per se, but like a player like that, where you can just, he's got one-on-one coverage. I'm going to throw it up there to him and then go up to make a play. We're hoping Claypool is that player, maybe develops into that player for him. But at this point right now, with the talent you have right now, just get what you can. And let's move on to the next play. And also the check down. I mean, he got to a point within the last 4 or 5 weeks, he was doing pretty well in terms of taking that check down, whether it was to the running back or whether it was to the tight end and getting positive plays. He's got to continue to do that. They got to continue to preach that to him as well. And then eventually, once that you get more weapons on offense, and you can start making some plays down the football field. But just take what you can in the NFL. And again, there's certain moments, certain times you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to kind of trying to make a play. You're going to have to force it in there, and then game in situations and the half situations or something like that. But in this case example here, Claypool was open, throw it to him. Just let's move on to the next play.
And I want to make this clear to everyone in the chat room, guys like Zach and other people who are skeptical that Justin Fields is going to develop these traits. There is the possibility that perhaps he doesn't. Perhaps he's hard-headed, like we've seen so many other quarterbacks. I mean, I started rooting for this team when Bobby Douglas was the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, and you talk about a hard-headed guy. I mean, this guy was. He had the coach living with him so he could install the offense, but Bobby was always going to do things his way, throw the ball way too hard, throw it erratically because he was overstepping, blah, blah, blah. But my point is this. Justin Fields is going to have an offseason to reflect on everything that went wrong, to reflect on everything that he has been taught, to basically think about doing the right thing. Just like Danny was saying that as a parent, it's very similar to being a coach. You're taught to do the right thing, and sometimes it takes a while, right? Now, he's going to have the entire offseason to reflect on this. It will be his second offseason as a Chicago Bear, as a professional quarterback. If he does not respond in year 3 of his development, and he's still making these mistakes of holding the ball on too long, putting too much stress on his offensive line, and he does have the complementary players, then we've got a big problem. And so my message to Zach and the other naysayers about Fields is we have to give him one more chance, one more year to develop before we can start even entertaining the thought about drafting a quarterback or acquiring another quarterback. Danny, I mean, that's how I feel. I understand the frustration Bears fans have, but it's way too early to close the book on Justin Fields.
And even next year, although he might still be making some of these, not as often, but he still might see some of these times where, he makes these. But guys, if you look at all around the NFL, Patrick Mahomes is an MVP winner. he makes some bad decisions, but he's bailed out because he's got great players that are going up and making plays on the football. A lot of times, Lamar Jackson does similar things in terms of he holds on to the football and will take a sack, because he thinks he can buy some time and make a play, and it doesn't work out. Russell Wilson does the same thing as well. Russell Wilson, even in Seattle, was one that would run around, buy some time, and get rid of the football. It's got to be ingrained in these guys that are super athletes that are just used to being able to juke guys and make guys miss. That it's come to a certain point, you just have to get rid of the football and just live to play another down. So, that's something like, Daniel Jones from the Giants. Look, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. And I know he's not putting up monster numbers, but Daniel Jones has proven he's a quality NFL quarterback, starting NFL quarterback. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but he's a guy you bring in a coaching staff that utilizes him to his talents and puts him in a position to succeed. And now the Giants are sitting there thinking, oh man, we got to pay this guy now, 15, 17, 18, maybe $20 million a season. So, some quarterbacks just develop late in their careers. The thing about with Fields is what you want to see. You want to see his ability, obviously, to make plays. Like if he can do that with his legs, you want to see him make plays with his arms. We've seen him make throws, NFL, star, quarterback type throws. We see him go through progressions and all that stuff. We just got to get everything around him fixed in terms of protection and all that stuff, weapons and everything like that, and then we're going to see just the natural growth kind of process. And obviously we're seeing now the maturity, the leadership here at the podium after during games in which he's going and talking to his teammates. So he's just moving on here. Again, drafting in quarterback and developing him, there's a lot of bumps in the road. There's some dark days, and there's some, but when it finally hits, when you see everything kind of come together, that's when, as a franchise, you're going to be, happy that you have a young guy that you've developed, and now he's out there flourishing. And I think it's just a matter of time before Justin flourishes.
Yeah. Totally agree. We'll put that topic aside. I'm sure there's going to be more discussion on that on future Barroom Network shows, on all of our different shows. But I'd love for to have a discussion with Danny before we get him out of here, before we end the show. Is you mentioned earlier in the show, and it got me to think about David Montgomery. You're not going to pay him the type of dollars that he is going to demand, and probably, from a market value standpoint, probably deserve, because Spotrac has him at a market value of $9.9 million. And how they assess that is what other running backs of comparable statistics and play and so forth, what they are getting. So they assess his market value at 9.9. If I'm Ryan Poles, I'm going to be very, very reluctant to pay him $10 million. I know what a leader he is in the locker room. I know what he means to the Bears organization, but let's make sure that we know that even though they have over $100 million in cap space, that stuff can go by really fast. Mm-hmm. And so if you're getting comparable or better value at another running back, then you should indeed look at who those guys are and then make the decision. All right, so here's the list, according to Spotrac, Danny, of running backs. Clearly, you're not going to go after Saquon Barkley, right?
Right.
Too much money. He's gonna demand even more than $10 million, and he's had an injury background. Kareem Hunt, I don't think you want him on your squad. Am I right there?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, and for me, guys, to be honest with you, I would draft a running back. I would not go sign a big money for it. Now, if you want to bring a veteran as like a quality backup for depth, kind of like they did a couple years ago with Damian Williams or something like that, like on a cheap end, that's fine. Just have a veteran back there, but I would not go out there and pay money for a free agent running back.
Yeah, the reason I would, Danny, because there are so many quality running backs available via free agency that you can now save that early day 3 running back selection for another position, and then you come back with Herbert and this veteran free agent like a Jamal Williams, like let me scroll down this list a little further.
Scored 15 touchdowns. He's not going to come cheap.
I know he won't. Yeah. All right, Deontay Freeman.
A guy like a Raheem Mostert might be a guy you can bring in, a guy similar, kind of system. that, the wide zone. He's a guy who's done well with Miami, done well
He
with
is 30
49ers.
years old, so you want to sign him to a 1 or 2 year contract,
Right, and not a long-term deal or something like that. Again, a veteran out there that can come in, and if Khalil goes down, you can plug him in for a week or 2 or 3 weeks, whatever, and start and be in decent shape. But again, I would offset that with another draft pick. I do feel like you can find running backs, quality running backs.
I agree. Excuse me for interrupting. I totally agree with you. I believe, a day 3 selection is a good idea. And you can even, with the plethora of running backs available coming out of college, you could probably even find an undrafted free agent who can come in here and compete. But I do like the idea. If Miles Sanders is going to demand a couple of $1 million less than David Montgomery, I'm signing Miles Sanders.
I think he's a Pro Bowler. Right? I believe he made the Pro Bowl. So I think those guys are high, going to be a high in demand, right? Like, if just like scrolling real quick here, like let's see who. There's a guy.
What about Devin Singletary?
Yeah, he's a guy, I think would be a nice fit. Again, he's younger, I think, or I say, about a couple months younger than Montgomery, same draft class. But again, he might, it depends on what you're going to be paying these guys, right? I just prefer like these 1 or 2 year veterans where you can get in here and just kind of give you a nice, not the perfect compliment, to be honest with you guys, but he's going to be too much. He's probably going to get more money than what's his name? Than Montgomery is Tony Pollard. And that's where Bigfoot Loch Ness there just chopped in. Tony Pollard would be a nice compliment to Khalil Herbert, but again, he's going to be a guy that's probably going to get more money, if you will, than a Montgomery will, because he gives you that big play potential. He's another potential slot receiver. Even though Montgomery's got good hands, he's not the type of option in the passing game that a Pollard would be. Again, he's a guy that is going to see that's like that average market. He's going to get more than that. I guarantee you he's getting more. I
agree.
That's why I think even in Montgomery, a team might come and say, we like this guy's physicality. We love, the leadership he brings out, football. A young team might come and say, all right, we want David Montgomery. Then he might get more than $9 million as well. Now, there are teams that might say, you know what? We don't think he's got that big play explosiveness, and we're not going to give David Montgomery that $9 or $10 million that he's looking for. And that's when the Bears can swoop in and say, all right, David, we want to come back for a 1 year deal, 2 year deal, maybe a little bit less money, so on and so forth. And then that's where they can maybe bring him back. And that's where I kind of keep the option possibly of him coming back up. But if he gets anywhere near what's estimated at the 9 to 10, 11 million a year, that there's no way the Bears can bring him back. I don't think. Even though you have a ton of cap space, I still, like you said, there's Jalen Johnson you're gonna have to talk about restructuring. There's Darnell Mooney you're gonna have to talk about giving an extension to. Cole Kmet is a guy you might have to talk about possibly giving an extension to as well. These guys are second and third round picks, late round picks. They're only on 4 year contracts, so their contracts expire quicker than the first round pick. So these are guys that you have to talk about pretty soon here in terms of giving them some money as well. So a lot of that draft capital could go real quickly, especially if you make 1 or 2 big free agent signings.
Bear Truth 9 posted something. I think it was a joke, but there's a lot of truth to it. He asked if Tony Pollard can block, and I don't think that's his forte. I mean, I don't think that he's very similar to Khalil Herbert, except he's a better pass catcher. Would you say that, Danny?
He's more explosive. I think he's got bigger, like big game speed than Herbert. But Herbert's better in terms of in between the tackles, I think. Although Pollard's done a pretty good job this year of running in between the tackles. But again, in terms of pass blocking, that's where you're gonna have to kind of stick it to Herbert. Say, hey man, you have to get better here. Pass blocking it's not a God-given ability. It's a trait you learn. It's a it's a willingness to stick your nose in there and stand there and protect your quarterback or pass block for your receivers or whatnot. So, you're gonna have to coach him up and make him better at pass blocking, Herbert, that is. So, I'm not gonna go get a free agent running back based off the fact if he can pass block or not, because I'm expecting Khalil Herbert. If you're gonna be a starter, you're gonna have to pass block. And that's one thing you're gonna have to get better at there. So that's why I look at it there in terms of a pass blocking running back.
There are good reasons to bring back David Montgomery, even if it is at a price that you might consider too much for the running back position. So let me share with you a couple. He knows the offense. And as Garrett Gabriel told me, he spoke with someone in the league that said this Luke Getsy offense takes a couple of years to learn. And so if that is true, then why, start over with a rookie running back when you have a veteran who, if you can get at a decent amount, $6-7 million, with 75% of it guaranteed, then that might be a good approach. Secondly, we know the guy's effectiveness in running the ball. And if the Bears are going to improve their offensive line, then perhaps we're talking about a guy who's going to have some more explosive runs because there's going to be bigger holes for him to run. Those are two reasons that I can think of off the top of my head why it would be a good counter argument to bring David Montgomery back. What do you think?
Again, I'm not here to bash Jim Montgomery. I love the guy. I think he's a baller. I think he's a gamer. Like I said, he's a very good veteran on the team. But to go out there and pay him whatever, let's say $10 million, make it a nice round number.
Oh, that's too much. That's too much.
Okay, what was it? $9 million?
What if Bear Truth says, because Bear Truth 9 says 3 years, $7 million guaranteed? Would you bring him back at that amount?
$7 million for all 3 years guaranteed?
Well, I think it's 21
million, right?
21 million.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, $7 million is a better number. It's a number I would consider. But again, it's the fact that if you guys notice, guys, Herbert has better cutback vision, right? You see him, and when this the way this offense runs, or the line when it starts blocking, when they're doing this wide zone scheme, everything's going to be based on predicated on finding that back cut lane, right? And you see Herbert, he's had so much success this year where he has better vision. He's able to cut back, get that seam into that backside of the play, get into one hit, foot in the ground, and he takes off. And I think that's what you're looking for. You see with Montgomery, what he does is he's more like an I formation guy, more of a power back. He's a guy, if you put him a lead blocker in front of him, or if you give him an ability to be a single back in the backfield, he's got the ability to jump in and out of holes and hit them and with physicality and get through that. But he doesn't have the explosiveness you look for like Herbert, like a Tony Pollard, some of these guys. So, there's a give and take here and there. For me, again, personally, $7 million is a more acceptable number to bring him back at. But, for me, like I can go find a second or third round, a running back that can come in and contribute and be one heck of a, backup or a 1-2 punch with Khalil Herbert. And I think now you're going with a guy on a rookie deal, making less money. Obviously, then you can allocate some of that money towards, that's what entices me about that is now you can allocate that money towards other areas of the football field in which we've already seen and discussed have a lot of holes on it.
Bear Truth 9 earlier said this about Justin Fields, that he's had to change his thought process. It takes time. He just spent the offseason unlearning an offense, changing his mechanics, learning a new offense with a rookie offensive coordinator. Again, there's a lot to learn. And that's another great Bear Truth 9 post, because he's absolutely right about Justin Fields. A lot of change. And so when anyone is discussing the firing of Luke Getsy has not done anything demonstrably terrible to have him fired. In fact, you might be regressing the development of your quarterback if you give him his third, fourth offensive coordinator in 4-5 years. That would not be a good recipe.
Yeah, so he's already had 3 offensive play callers in 2 years. So, that's the thing is, like, I'm looking forward to having him stay another year with Luke Getsy. My biggest thing was Luke Getsy was doing too well in terms of after that Washington game, in terms of creating this offense around Fields that a team might come calling for him. But luckily that didn't proceed to the point where I think Luke Getsy is not going to get a head coaching job this offseason. Right. I think if he continues this trajectory in terms of building this offense around Fields, I think it's eventually going to happen. Now Detroit, I think Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, was another young guy, innovative play caller. I think what he's done with Jared Goff and that offense this year, I think he's going to be looking at potential head coaching opportunities as well. So, I think Getsy with Fields, another offseason, possibly 2, would be tremendous, because now you just kind of grow together. Again, Getsy was learning him. He was learning Getsy. I think now they've gotten to the point where they're comfortable with each other, and now they just kind of go ahead and in this offseason, again, build a completely, a complete offense, if you will, around Justin Fields, and just kind of now know what you do well, know what he does well, and just continue from there and just grow this offensive play scheme and playbook.
By the way, Matt Eberflus says that Dante Pettis was cleared through the concussion protocol, but nonetheless, he was sent to the hospital because Pettis said he was experiencing blurred vision. So as a precautionary measure, they sent him to the hospital. And we can talk for another hour about these doctors who are checking on concussions for players. You know, what's happened with Tua Tagovailoa is criminal in my mind, but that's a discussion for another day. We'll have a good panel of people together to discuss that. Danny, I wanted to ask you another question regarding the quarterback position. You know, Zach has been in the chat room saying we got to draft the quarterback. This is our opportunity. You're going to get a second or third round. I don't disagree with that, and I think the majority of people don't agree with it. I disagree with that, and I think the majority of people disagree with that. But what I do think that it would be really fucking good if this team drafted a quarterback in day 3. I know you probably have not done a lot of work on quarterbacks, but have you done any research on any quarterback who might be a promising developmental quarterback who has the same kind of athletic attributes? Now, I know that that's a rarity, but I'm saying an option quarterback, a running quarterback, a guy who would be a poor man's Justin Fields. Have you done any work on a quarterback, and you can give us a couple of names so that we could start doing some research on it?
I'll give you one name. I haven't done a lot of in terms of in-depth work on him, but I've watched a couple of his games, and that's UCLA's Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He's a guy athletic as heck. Again, his inconsistencies have been, you know, in terms of, you know, going through a progression and some accuracy down football field. But again, you know, I think he's around 6'1", 6'2", if I'm not mistaken. Very athletic, dual threat quarterback, strong arm, has played for Chip Kelly at UCLA. So he's been around, you know, NFL offensive concepts, if you will. But that's a guy, if you can get him, and I believe he's going to be at the East-West Shrine game, if I'm not mistaken, although, so we'll get a firsthand look at him. But that's a guy that's athletic as heck, you know, is a dual threat, can give you the same terms of actions in terms of if Fields does go down on, you know, God forbid, he goes on an injury, and if you have a kid like that backing him up, you know, he can come in and do the same things in terms of power runs, quarterback runs, keepers, and all that stuff, and continue to use his legs as a threat. So, you know, when I watch him, I watch a couple of UCLA games, and that's the first thing I stuck to my mind. I was like, man, if the Bears can get this guy, you know, day 3 of the draft, you know, 6th round, I'm not sure where he's projected to go now, but I think he's in the 5th, 6th round range, possibly even 7th round, depending on how he does in the classroom work and all that stuff. But he's a kid, you know, Dorian Thompson Robinson from UCLA, I think will be a nice fit here, backup. Another kid that I do like, but I believe he's staying in school is Jordan Travis from Florida State. A little bit undersized. I think maybe going to be a 5'11", 5'11 and a half, but another guy that, you know, has been around some NFL concepts in terms of his system there at FSU. Another guy who uses his legs as a dual threat quarterback and a gamer. That guy's a dude. You put on his tape, and he's always, you know, battling and fighting his ass off to try and get his team back into the football game. So, you know, Jordan Travis, who I believe is staying in school, the last I heard, at Florida State, is another guy in the future if you're looking for, you know, in the 2024 draft. But in this draft, the guy I've kind of earmarked in that territory you're talking about there, Aldo, is Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA.
All right. A couple of people mentioned Anthony Richardson from Florida.
He's going top half of the draft.
Really?
He might be the second quarterback taken. That's how good, talent-wise, this kid is. You see his numbers there: 6'4", 232, quick release, solid. I mean, bazooka for an arm, can make every single throw you want. Elusive with the football as a runner, a perfect complement to Justin Fields. But his inconsistencies in terms of, you know, accuracy down a football field, his decision making is all over the football field. He's not ready to be an NFL starting quarterback, in my opinion. You know, year 2. But those talents, that size, and his ability is going to have offensive, you know, coordinators, offensive coaches drooling at getting their hands on this kid. So I think, you know, he was being touted as a late 1st round quarterback. I feel he's going to go in a top 10. That by the time it's all said and done, I think teams are going to just look at that talent and know he needs time to develop and say, you know what, we got to get this kid in our building. We're going to coach him up for a year or 2, and then we're going to unleash him. I think Anthony Richardson is going to go in the top 10 when it's all said and done.
Wow. So let's put that on our homework assignment for a future draft on tap to talk about those day 3 quarterbacks, because I could definitely see that happening for this team. And preferably, I would love to see somebody like that as a backup to Justin Fields than a Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, yeah. I want to see Simeon stay as backup than Nathan Peterman.
I gotta tell you, as soon as I saw Nathan Peterman seated next to Justin Fields is when Justin Fields' performance started to deteriorate in today's game. So he needs to stay away. They should give Peterman his own quarterback room, like a closet somewhere, and they can have
One thing about Peterman, though, for all the knocks he takes for his play on the football field, he's a very smart kid. I think this is a guy that once his playing career is over, is going to get into coaching because he's very coaches love him because he will digest a playbook. He'll know all the reads. He'll know what to do with the football. It just talent wise, he doesn't have it. He just can't execute on the football field. But in terms of in the classroom, in terms of, I'm not sure about teaching it, but I mean, in the classroom, he digests a playbook and he's very smart kid, and he picks up offenses quickly. I think that's why a lot of these offensive minded coaches like having him around, because he could be like an extra coach in that quarterback room, because he is so good in terms of knowing the offense, learning it. Just the unfortunate part is executing on the football field.
Excellent stuff, Danny Shimon. Any other final thoughts that you have regarding the Chicago Bears performance today, before we pull the plug on this episode of Bear Football?
No, for today, I mean, I'm usually I go back and watch the all 22s. I'm not even going to watch this one, to be honest with you. I'm just going to be like, all right, chalk it up. That's it. Let's go on to the finale next week against Minnesota, and then I think that's when the real fun starts in terms of preparing for the off season and all that stuff. The only thing now kind of holding my curiosity is Minnesota going to be battling for that first round bye? If so, they're probably going to be playing their stars for that final game, and then that means probably the Bears are going to lose most likely. And we talked about it briefly last time on Buffon 55. Although in terms of do you play Justin Fields for these final 2 games? And I said yes, because examples like today, there are things where he needs to get better at. He needs to see on film that he needs to improve on. But now I'm thinking about it, man. It's like after seeing today, with you lose your 2 right guards. You're on your 3rd right guard. We don't even know what their status is in terms. I don't think I heard Eberflus mention their statuses in terms of next week. Do you really want to put him out there behind another patchwork offensive line? So it'll be curious to see. Now you do have it's a home game, so you do have fans that are going to be attending the game and paying money for it. There's one of them right there, Aldo. So you want to just kind of short those guys either. So you probably go ahead and start them, but. It's really seeing him take all those hits today, and although the Minnesota defense isn't as good or as physical as the Detroit team was, but we'll see how it is. But anyway, just to kind of wrap it up there real quickly, is just we'll after the game's over, then we kind of can just focus in on the off season, and hopefully we'll see there in terms of what path this team is going to go.
Yep. And I just want to, John Buffon's not here today, but I know that if he was, he would have wanted me to play this drop.
This defense sucks.
Because that is exactly what happened today. The Chicago Bears defense, was embarrassingly bad. If I were to make a list of the top 10 worst defensive performances by a Chicago Bears team, this one would definitely make that top 10 list. Still behind the 50 burgers they gave up to the Patriots and Packers in back-to-back games. When was that? 2006. Yeah, 2016 thereabouts.
Detroit could have easily put a 50 burger on them tonight, but obviously Campbell took it easy and kind of called the dogs off there, and they didn't want to embarrass Eberflus and the Bears. But I can think if Minnesota comes in next week playing their starters, they can easily put up 50 points with Dalvin Cook and Madison in the backfield, and obviously with Justin Jefferson on the outside and Kirk Cousins pulling the trigger. I think they can easily put up 50 points on this defense next Sunday.
Well, we got a lot more football to talk about this week, and it starts with Gabriel Talks Football tomorrow. I think we're going to go on around 3:00 after the Eberflus's press conference, and then it continues at 7 p.m. Central with the Bears Country podcast. So hopefully you can tune in to those two shows, and then throughout the week we'll be loaded. The best way to stay on top of what we're doing is to subscribe to the Barroom Network here on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. Just search Barroom Network, or on our Twitter page, just again, search Barroom Network. And it looks like we might have to get into the whole TikTok, Instagram world. What a pain in the ass it is, because a lot of good people are leaving Twitter for some of this other social media stuff. And now I'm trying to learn about Mastodon. Have you heard about Mastodon, Danny?
No, it sounds like some sort of thing that Aaron Rodgers does in the offseason.
Yeah, hey, maybe I'll do some tonight. Yeah, Mastodon is another social media site that a lot of Twitter people are leaving to go over there. So I don't even want to entertain the idea of going on a new application that I know nothing about. But in any case, we will have tons of stuff for you here on the good old YouTube channel and wherever you get your audio podcasts. This is Barroom Network, the Bearer of Bears News. For Danny Shaman, Tyler Ellis, and the vacationing John Buffone, we will all see you soon. Take care, everybody.